What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Barrier to Entry, a Magic the Gathering podcast. This is episode 2. I am your host, Antonio MTG, with my co host, Gigapon. And tonight we are talking all things Magic, live, uncut, uncensored, the way Garfield intended it. So, with that being said, once again, my co host, Gigapon. Say hey, Giga.
What up?
So tonight we are getting into the latest and hottest news in Magic currently at the time, and that is the Core 2021 spoilers. And we have gone over these spoilers tonight to kind of give our takes on the spoilers themselves and where we think they will find a home, where some of the synergies that are going to be exemplary or going to be in the upcoming set, whether it's standard or modern. And we're just here to have a little bit of fun tonight, kind of take a break from the real world, give you guys a break. And while there are other news going on in this world, this is a Magic the Gathering podcast, so therefore we are going to be talking about Magic. So, with that being said, let's dive into Barrier to Entry. So the first thing we want to talk about tonight is some of these spoilers. Gig is just overall power level. I mean, power level's pretty strong in this Core 21 set. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, it's super powerful. This is easily becoming one of my favorite core sets, if not my favorite core set probably ever printed. And when we reveal the cards, y'all gonna know the reason why.
Yeah, some of these cards are insane. Uh, the fact that they even put them in a core set kind of is shocking to me, so to speak. But with that being said, a lot of them are needed reprints, so we will get into that tonight also. And one thing that I am worried about, and I'm going to discuss this in the final segment of this broadcast of the show, is the power creep, and that is something I do want to discuss. I think it is something that is real. But before we get to that, let's go over some of these spoilers. So first on our list, oh my goodness, what in the world just happened? I clicked the wrong button there. Okay, back to what I was doing. uh, some of these things that we're going to get into is the new planeswalkers. And one thing I did notice is we haven't got the green planeswalker yet. So the first one we're going to look at is our good old Chandra Heart of Fire, the 5 mana double red CMC mythic planeswalker, comes in with 5 loyalty. What do you think about Chandra?
I like this Chandra a lot. I really do.
Good take. But
I mean, seriously. I mean, the point that I'm trying to make is that I like her a lot. She's got a lot of things going on. Particularly the fact that she has 2+ abilities really just means that it's like you're ever working towards her ultimate, and you don't ever have to set yourself back.
Exactly. One of the places that I really think that the Chandra is actually going to find a home is in a prison style deck. I don't know if she's offensive enough, especially with the 5 CMC cost in like a mid range creature like a Panza style deck, something like that. I don't know if she is uh, powerful enough for that. But let's say like Mono Red Prison, whether it's Legacy or Modern, you know, you put down an ensnaring bridge, she can instantly dump your entire hand. Plus, you still get 3 cards that you can play that do not contribute to your hand. Now, obviously, if you don't play them, they're exiled. But the next turn, hey, I drew this land. I don't really like it. Plus, it pitch away that 3 cards plus all of our mana available. It's pretty daggum good. I don't care what anybody says. You know, and then the +1 is a shock on a stick. And, you know, how many things that are, you know, 2 toughness that it's really going to kill. But, you know, it may be having to push through that last 2 points of damage. And the fact that it's any target and can be redirected to planeswalkers. That's pretty important. Something that the 4 CMC Chandra Torch of Defiance doesn't do. So, And our next Planeswalker is our black... What just happened? Okay. We having technical difficulties here. There we go. Our black Planeswalker. Liliana, Waker of the Dead. Any thoughts on this one?
This card hits a special place for me. I'm an ARAC player. And the fact is that in certain circumstances, I mean, I think she's a great sideboard, like one-off card for the deck. Because you run into certain situations where, you know, each player has to discard a card, and then each opponent who can't loses life. That is a huge wording on that. So you can be empty-handed, you can sit here, you can play your spell, whatever you want, discard it if you want to, but it's the fact that you're just like, uptick, take 3, uptick, take 3. And you can downtick where the number total, let's say target creature gets minus 626, where X is the number of cards in your graveyard. As an 8-rack player, there's a ton of cards, and the amount of times where, you know, as an 8-rack player, you have very limited removal options if you're not playing, well, or you don't have a Liliana the bailout, and your opponent is slowly building up an army, waiting to possibly flicker your, or, you know, just bounce away your Ensnaring Bridge, and then you're like, well, I'm dead because he amassed a giant army. You can actually get rid of threats. You can go uptick, uptick, downtick, uptick, 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 downtick. Like, you can sit here and you can keep fluctuating that number and slowly getting rid of cards, and hopefully your opponent just dies in between with you playing your 8 racks and everything like that. I love this card. I do like this card a lot. It's just so fun.
One of the things that I like about this card is, once again, in 8 rack, you know, you're using your Inquisitions of Kozilek, you're using your Thoughtseizes, you're putting creatures into the graveyard, you're plussing up, you're pinging your opponent for 3 life, or they're holding the card in hand so they don't lose the 3 life, they can't play it, they can't kill her, and they're discarding, and then you're like, oh, look, this is a -7 God's Pharaoh's Gift. At the beginning of combat, I'm going to take your creatures that you have been playing and putting in the graveyard the entire game, and I'm going to put them on my side of the battlefield and start swinging to your face with them. You know, it's a nice little alternate win con for her, that you're not just relying, and that's one of the issues with 8 rack, is if they deal with your racks and your Shrieking Afflictions, you don't have a way to win, you know. Well, this particular Planeswalker gives you that way to win. You know, I remember playing against an 8 rack player, and I dealt with all of his racks. He altered Lily of the Veil, set me back, you know, however many turns, and I just slowly dug my way out and still beat him because he could not find an actual win con. So I really like her in those style of decks, and I think she'll be I think she'll see play. So next we have the hated one, the one that should never exist in the world, not for any other reasons than every time he does exist, it's busted. And I don't care what nobody says. So everybody looks at this is a card that I had extensive arguments about, because everybody's like, it's not really that good, and I'm sitting here looking, I'm like, okay, so first off, it's 4 mana, double blue, and a 2 colorless, 3 loyalty, and you're like, 3 loyalty, and it's -10, it's take 2 extra turns, Zoltaman is so far away. Well, he's one of those static planeswalkers that says you can activate this on any player's turn and at instant speed. So let's say you're playing a deck that has, oh, I don't know, a ton of counter spells, and you're like, I don't have one in hand. They cast something to kill this, and you're like, I'll +1 him in response with that spell on the stack, because you can do this at instant speed. Draw a card, discard something I don't need. Oh, look, there's the counter spell I needed. Counter that. Teferi lives, and he just got up to 5 loyalty the turn he came out. So technically, if you look at Teferi, he's 4 loyalty for 4 mana. Draw a card, or loot, basically. Draw a card, discard a card. His -3 is target creature you don't control phases out, so it's removal on a minus, which is where removal should be. But phases is another thing, and that's something for another podcast, these weird mechanics that they're trying to force back into the game. But, and also, something to remember about phasing. If the creature has an artifact or an enchantment attached to it, that phases with it. So, just so everybody knows. uh, what phasing is. It's not like flickering, because flickering is completely different. You flicker something that has an artifact or an enchantment attached to it. The enchantment or artifact falls off. The artifact obviously goes back to the battlefield. The enchantment goes to the graveyard. Aura, I should say. But I really like this Teferi. I think he's going to find a home. I don't know if he's going to be, Time Raveler busted, but I can really see him getting up to, the extra turns thing. You're literally talking 3 turns and you're there. Plus he stays alive because he goes 5, 7, 9, 10, or 11. Minus 10 still keeps a +1 that'll go up to 2 on your opponent's, on your next turn that you're taking an extra turn. Then you take an extra turn, so he goes right back to 3. So it's literally just a reset of him being on the battlefield, except you just took 2 extra turns. What do you think? Am I crazy?
I don't know. I feel like with how aggressive this format's become, like, I just don't think he does enough. The fact that, in comparison to our other format, Blue Planeswalker, Mind Sculptor, I mean, who pretty much defined an entire format when he was in Standard, that I just don't think this card is... I mean, I could be wrong, but I just don't think he's going to do enough, because the thing is that you're not bouncing a creature back to the hand, you're not taxing the mana, phasing out just makes it go away, and it says until its controller's next turn. So you never want to bring this down and do this on your own turn. You always want to bring this down, you always want to +1 it, unless you are attacking for lethal, or you have to get damage through this turn where you're just playing it and then sacrificing it off to phase their creature out, but then they get it back immediately during their next turn.
Right.
I just don't. And then the fact that it is a -10, I know that you can get there kind of quickly to take 2 extra turns, but if you're getting to this Teferi's ultimate, you've already won the game, probably. Like, at this point, it's just an actual win more if you manage to get to this ultimate.
And I can agree with that also. It's one of those that, especially in Standard, like the blue-white control list, this would be great, because a lot of times it's like, oh, you got to attack with your Dream Trawler, you dealt 4 damage or 5 damage, you gained 5 life, but then they board wipe you and you have no way to catch back up. Whereas, if you play this card, you have Shark Typhoon and Sharknado, or whatever you want to call it. You can put out blockers, you can keep him alive, you get double activations, the phasing out, that's going to catch. Now, obviously, phasing in, like, Arena isn't going to be as bad, but phasing in Paper Magic, people have never played with phasing. I remember when I played with phasing, and I was still confused about it, but when phasing happens, it happens before anything else in the turn. That's drawing a card, that's untapping, that's everything. That's the phasing phase. So whenever your opponent says, okay, your go, you can't untap your mana and say, oh yeah, phase this in. No, you've already missed it at that point. It's over. So you have to remember, this is phased out. I got past a turn, phasing happens, then I untap, and then I draw my card. So that's it's a very weird mechanic for them to put into a core set that is designed for new players, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, Paper's not happening for a long time, so hopefully people will learn when it happens on Arena, and that'll work. But let's move on to our last Planeswalker. Let's not spend too much time here. And that's our new one. That's Basriket. Was confirmed by Mark Rosewater in the past day or so that he is actually from Amonkhet. But when he was on Amonkhet, was it before Nicol? Was it after Nicol? Who knows? But this is Basri, our white Planeswalker. Opinions.
I like the card a lot under the fact that he's perfect in an aggro aggressive shell. He's low mana. He gives your creatures the ability to push through. So if there's any creature that you want to make favorable to not dying, I mean, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control that gains indestructible until end of turn. So good. You put this on something like Vigilance, Death Touch, whatever. It's getting bigger. Your opponent's like, well, maybe I don't want to lose creatures. Because particularly to indestructible Death Toucher, I'm just going to be taking that damage, push through. He makes an army with himself. Essentially, you have weenies. You got 2 1-drops, a 2-drop, another 2-drop. You got 4 dudes, and you're like minus everything attacks. And the fact is that when you attack with everything, you get that many 1/1 white soldier creatures tapped and attacking. Yeah, it doesn't trigger combat things, so you can't completely break this card with Cavalcade, unfortunately, which I love that card. but yeah, I'm a degenerate. Why? Don't at me. But what it is that, I mean, if you have any sort of, I mean, unfortunately, we are lacking true Anthem effects. Like, we don't have a lot of Anthem effects, which makes those tokens completely powerhouse and everything like that. There are some instant speed tricks that you can play, but a lot of those have become conditional. I mean, I do love this card, and then this ultimate with an emblem. Create a 1/1 soldier creature token, and then put +1/+1 counters on it. I feel like his -6 is a little too far away for what you're trying to do in an aggro deck. I mean, it is a decent way to recover against control decks, which I think is okay, but a lot of times though in this format, there's a lot of Planeswalker hate right now. And we're going to talk a little bit more about a specific Planeswalker hate card here in a minute, but
yes.
I believe that's part of the slides.
Don't know, but it can be. We can always pull up anything we want. But,
Right.
I mean, there is this thing called the power of the internet. But this is my take on Basri Ket. I love its -6. Probably more than I like anything else. And I'm thinking more of historic. And I'm also thinking in the Tempered Steel deck, where you're dropping out 0/1 whatever 0/2 Ornithopters, you're dropping out, or 0/1 whatever they are, you're dropping out the Lockwing Gargoyle, that's an 0/3, and yes, you're trying to get your Steel Overseer, but that thing is a lightning rod and a half. But if I have flying blockers and I have Basri, right, I don't need his -2. I need to put counters and keep my stuff indestructible from dying. So if I'm putting counters on an Ornithopter, or I'm putting counters on whatever name creature.x, and then I get to this -6 where it's literally just Steel Overseer every combat, and I'm putting extra creatures on the battlefield, because the other thing that the Hardened Steel deck has a problem with is a board wipe. You board wipe, we have no way to catch up. Whereas you can take 4 extra turns. Okay, well, I'll just keep plussing this up onto nothing. And I do like its -6. It's only 3 turns away, and that's really a theme with all of these Planeswalkers, except the Chandra. Chandra is 4 turns away. But if you look at all the other 2 Planeswalkers, the Liliana, 3 pluses, you're at the ultimate. Teferi, 3 pluses, technically 4, whatever, 6, but you're able to do it on the opponent's turn. So, you get to, and that's the other thing. People forget. So, your 7th plus to get to 10 is on your turn. Then you pass to your opponent's turn, right? You can immediately -10 him right there and say, okay, you get your turn, but I'm taking 3. Or in your upkeep, just -10 him right there on the spot in your upkeep. Still have him to use for his +1 to draw a card and discard a card. And, so you -10 him, take 2 extra turns right there. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. We already talked about Teferi. Basri, it's 3 turns. You get the -6 him. and I do like a 3 mana planeswalker. He pseudo protects himself, but but mainly, if you're -2 in him, are you really swinging with all your creatures just to get that many soldiers? Because then everything is tapped, unless you have vigilance creatures, questing beast, and other than that, you have soldiers. You know, so it's a give and take with him. It's like it's. I think it's going to be interesting to see what builds come out. That's where I was trying to go. So next, we're going to be talking about the reprints. What do you think about the reprints so far? Obviously, we haven't gotten the whole set. I picked out some of my favorites.
Reprints are just absolutely absurd. I love it. They're so needed. The fact is that there's so many combinations that people are already coming up with and cooking up in Pioneer. I know Historic's an arena only format, so it's going to make some interesting waves there. But I mean the biggest thing is in an actual competitive Magic, certain cards are now entering Pioneer and Modern that have been desperately needed in the format for so long.
Right. So as you know, in Pioneer, it ends at Magic Origin. So therefore, you didn't get like Kamigawa in there, uh, or anything prior to Magic Origins, and we all know that. One of the cards that I chose for our little reprint section is our first card, and that is our Azusa Lost But Seeking, printed in Kamigawa. I think it was Kamigawa. It's one of those. It's either Saviors or Kamigawa. I can't remember.
Champions of Kamigawa.
Yeah, Champions. There you go.
So the first block of the Kamigawa.
Right. Everybody. I mean, I've gotten to what would feel like fist fight arguments, over this card being in Pioneer, Standard and Historic. And everybody's like, it's a 1/2. It just dies. You only get to put in 2 extra lands, and you don't have Kuru lands as bounce lands. First off, we don't even know what the rare land cycle is. It could actually be Kuru lands. Never know. But anyway, for those of y'all that don't know what Kuru lands is, they come into battlefield tap, bounces a land back to your hand, but then when it untaps, you can tap it for 2 mana of the colors that are listed on the card. So you get like blue-green or red-white, whatever. So anyway, back to what I was saying. I want you to think about some of the other reprints, like Ugin the Spirit Dragon, which is not on our list today. But if you go turn 1 Arboreal Grazer, put in your second land, turn 2 her 2 more lands, you have literally just gone 5 mana on turn 2. If she lives and you have an Ugin and 3 other lands, so say you draw a land and 2 in your hand, you literally Ugin on turn 3. It is faster than modern Tron can put Ugin on the battlefield. Now, yes, that is very corner case, very specific things of what you need, but you can also start making zombies on turn 3. It's like there's so much, with Field of the Dead and Historic, obviously, or Modern. Yes, she dies to as a 1/2. She dies to a lot of things. But being able to accelerate that kind of mana that quick, and not to mention, you can actually go a step further. So, a Boreal Grazer, land into play, it comes in tap. Turn 2, play your land, play Azusa, play a Breeding Pool and a Forest, tap those 2, cast a Growth Spiral, put another land into play. You're literally 6 lands on turn 2? You literally just ramped to 6 on turn 2. You're literally modern Tron at that point. So I think she's going to be busted. I got another one for you, another reprint that I feel that you would love, and that is our Grim Tutor. Tell me what you think about this card.
It's okay. It comes into play 3 mana. You lose 3 life. You pay 3 mana, pay 3 life. Tutor. The thing is that compared to the 4 mana tutors, there's just taking a turn off the tutor has been historically proven to not work all that great. Particularly the fact that you bolt yourself with this thing too. I mean, your opponent's playing mountains, and they're like, "Yeah, sure."
Right.
Yes, it was the only time it was printed. It's a $200 card. It's a great Commander reprint for those who play Commander. I mean, I really don't feel like, I mean, the Commander market has just made the whole market crazy, and that's another discussion topic later. But But I mean, the thing is that it's fine. It's a perfect place. Core sets are a perfect place to put this stuff, particularly for. I mean, I have a lot of friends who play Commander. I'm not a Commander player myself, but my friends who play Commander, everybody was rejoicing. And you know what? It did bring a lot of overall happiness to the game for people who wanted to do this, because you sit here and you can do crazy things. You go turn 1, whatever, turn 2, Demonic Tutor, turn 3, Grim Tutor, turn 4, whatever. You probably win the game at this point. I don't know. Commander can get crazy.
Oh yeah. So with Grim Tutor, I don't know where to fit in standard. Since it's being printed into a standard set, it did get uptick to Mythic. I believe it was a rare prior to this. But one thing I can see is in like an Esper control shell, where you have Othakayas. So you already gained a 3 life. So losing the 3 life is whatever. But say you needed your Dream Trawler and you can't find it, but you need a way to close the game. You got 9, 10, 11, 12 mana, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, Grim Tutor, Dream Trawler, cast Dream Trawler, still got a full grip. I can protect Dream Trawler, give it hexproof. I don't care that I lost 3 life because I'm going to gain 5 on the next swing. You see, that's where I think, in control shells, yes, in Legacy or Commander where it's played, it's used to go and find combo pieces, and I can see it possibly finding combo pieces and say like a Sultai Emergent Ultimatum deck in Historic. One of my favorite decks in Historic, by the way. Check out the YouTube videos. Shameless plug there. But outside of that, I don't know where it's going to fit in Standard. As like you said about Commander, though, balls deep bonkers for Commander players, and I know they're going to love it. And then we got a couple more reprints. We got Containment Priest, we got Baneslayer Angel, 2 really strong, really good cards. And Containment Priest would have been great in a Winona. Like against a Winona. If a non-token creature enters the battlefield and it wasn't cast, exile it instead. Well, screw you, you stupid agent of treachery. Cost for 2 mana, with your Winona triggers on the stack, I'm flashing in Containment Priest. Let's do this, boys. You get nothing. And then Baneslayer. So what? Oh, sorry, Giga. What was you going to say about Containment Priest? My fault.
You don't even know. I have been wanting this for forever and a day. Not only, essentially, for everybody to know, I am a complete degenerate. I do love the Red Prison deck. I didn't say much about Chandra because I know Tony was going to go on about that one. But oh my god, Containment Priest, ever since the day I saw this card, I have loved this card. Oh my god, she has been she is bae, she is everything to me. I have loved this card. I'm a Death and Taxes player as well. I play all sorts of resources. You can hate me all you want. I play Agrac. I play Death and Taxes. I play Lantern Control. I'm here to make my opponent miserable. I don't want them having fun. This card, seeing so many Coco decks and then Winota ability and all this other nonsense. Oh, God almighty. I have been waiting for this card to finally hit Modern for so long. In fact, I've already ordered myself an old playset, and I'll probably be getting myself a playset of the full arts just because I can.
Exactly. Yeah, I love Containment Priest, so...
Yeah, and one more point on this is the fact that this opens up a huge opportunity for Eldrazi and other cards to be more played in Pioneer, because Death and Taxes has been a format that really only existed in Legacy and Modern. It doesn't exist in Pioneer or Standard, essentially, ever. But the fact that this now creeps into Pioneer, because you can go flash us in, Containment Priest, turn 2, while you're holding up removal spells, and then turn 3, you slam Eldrazi Displacer on the board, and guess what? If you're playing any creatures, Eldrazi Displacer is about to say you are not going to have fun with creatures.
Oh yeah, because Eldrazi displacers will literally exile everyone that comes in. It's like, I got Containment Priest. I flicker your creature, it's entering the battlefield and it wasn't cast. Goodbye, creature. It literally becomes a 3 mana exile whatever you want. So, yeah, I love this card. I built Legacy Death and Taxes as one of the first Legacy decks I ever played, and this was actually a hard card for me to get because one, they were in low print supply, and two, they were expensive as all get out at the time. So I don't know what their prices are now, but they were not cheap back then. I'll tell
Right
you
now,
that much.
I just bought my set literally for $10.
Yeah, so $10 each, or no, together, 250 each.
Yeah, they were 250 each. And just as a point here, when this card hit the market and was available, Death and Taxes was a very hot deck because lands was super played at the time. So this
Exactly.
card was $19 to $22 a piece, depending on where you went when this card was released.
Yeah, the whenever I was trying to buy it, they were $25 a piece, and back then I wasn't exactly rich. So I'm not rich now, don't get it twisted, but I'm not as broke as I was back then either. So spending $100 for 4 cards was not exactly where I was at in life. And then finally, the Baneslayer Angel. I put this up here not because it's some crazy great card that is, going to break the format. I literally put this up here because my teammate Coco Lopez finished off Sam Pardee in the 2018 GP Detroit, the GP that my team won. So, and it was literally he windmill slammed a Baneslayer Angel playing against Mardu Pyromancer, and they had no answer. They were like, we lose. So that's the only reason I put her up there. So, some of the other things we're going to talk about uh, as we're winding down here is some of the synergy that is being put in. And the first one I want to talk about is this hated card that everybody hates, Witch's Oven, in combination with our friend and yours, the lovable little pussy, Cauldron Familiar. We all know this combo, but now they got a new tool. Now that Lurrus has become virtually unplayable for them, uh, they got a new tool, and that is our friend, the Malevolent Scythe. Good God, what are you doing, Wizards? Ban the cat, ban the oven, for the love of all things holy. So, now Malevolent Scythe is in, I believe, Spanish. So, I'm going to read the actual Mythic spoiler text for it, the translation. So, Malevolent Scythe. One black artifact, equipment. Malevolent Scythe enters the battlefield with a soul counter on it. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each soul counter on Malevolent Scythe. Whenever equipped creature dies, put a soul counter on Malevolent Scythe. Equip 1. Giga, you had a big rant about this. Please let our listeners hear what you have to say.
So this actually takes the cat oven deck from being more of like a quick but yet mid-rangey strategy to potentially aggro. So and instead of also, I mean, optimally you want two ovens and a single cat on this, so you get to do blocking and attacking with this in the same time. So what you do is you sit here, you equip it to a cat, you can swing with the cat, swing with another creature, it doesn't matter. Usually what you want to do is that you want to equip this to cat, swing with cat. Either they're not going to block it because they don't want to trade off their creatures, or they're going to have to force it. You just sacrifice the cat, it dies, you get another counter on it. You can bring the cat back, and then you can just equip one to it, and now you randomly have a 3/3 blocker. And you're like, wait, hold on, he attacked, I blocked, I didn't lose a creature, but now I can't attack, so now it's even more dangerous than attacking into the cat because I may lose my creatures. Oh, it just this combo here just got so much more degenerately good, and you can even put the scythe on other creatures. If you have the priest that you can sacrifice two other creatures on, you just equip it to one of those creatures real quick, tap the priest, sacrifice the two, get a soul counter, put it on probably a remaining creature, or you can put it on priest to protect it from shocks, things of that nature. If you're afraid your opponent may top deck something like that, this card at an uncommon is so unbelievably good in the Cat Oven deck. It's just absolutely unreal. Like, all of a sudden, you may not even realize that your opponent's doing Cat Oven things. All of a sudden, they equip it to any creature. In fact, they could even mainboard Lurrus, equip it to a Lurrus, and all of a sudden, a Lurrus is a monstrous 9/8 with lifelink, and you just swing with Lurrus, and you're like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah. Well, and think of it this way. It's also 2 mana. So, say you're main decking Lurrus. You need to get it back from the graveyard. You slam the Lurrus, you pay 2 mana, it comes back, soul counter, 1 mana, equip the Lurrus. Lurrus is now 4/3.
And the whole cycle repeats all over again. It's just unreal. I mean, you could tell in set designs that this was going to be certain companion things were definitely being pushed in other sets. Like, you know that they work in synergy with each other. This is easily a card you can see that they're like, yep, this is going to work with Lurrus.
Yeah.
You know it's going to work. It's going to happen. And by the way, all of this stays. And for people who don't realize that when rotation comes along, we have M21 coming out. The next standard set that's going to come out is Zendikar. We're going to lose M20 and all of Ravnica, so Mana's going to get a lot worse, all these things of that nature, but we keep Cat Oven is going to be around for quite some time still.
Yeah, and the fact that this is a mono black artifact, so you can literally just play it in a black devotion deck because Theros will still be there. We're going to have Massacre Worm for devotion. You still got Tiamat and all those. You still got Woe Strider. And now, yes, you lose Mayhem Devil and Cat Oven. Cool. We got Grey Merchant and Devotion. Have fun. Because I'm going to gain a bajillion life with this cat. If I have to, I'll strap it up to a Lurrus. I'll find another black life linker and strap it up to that and just gain life with it. And then if it dies, I don't care. I'll make another one. You know, I'll just grow this thing even bigger. I think the synergy, and the fact is, and this is the crazy part, all 3 of these are uncommon, and the synergy between them, and everybody's like, well, that's a three-card combo. Yeah, well, so is Cat Oven and Mayhem Devil. That's a 3-card combo, too. So, you know, there used to be an argument of, well, it's a 3-card combo, it's not good. Okay, well, Cat Oven has been ruining Standard for like 7 months now, so have fun. Another synergy that we have, once again, goes to Lurrus. And that is the synergy between the latest spoiler. Mind you, this spoiler just came out, maybe an hour ago, Giga? And it's the latest spoiler. And it synergizes with our boy and yours, Lurrus of the Dream Den. Unreal. So this is Receptaculo del Arcademiano. Okay, that's as close as you're getting from me. What it is Archdemon's Vessel. A single black creature human cleric with lifelink. Hey, it has lifelink. Guess what else? It can be strapped onto this thing, by the way. So when Archdemon, and let me go over the text, and then you can tell me how this combo is going to work. Malevolent Scythe, by the way. Archdemon's Vessel enters the battlefield if it entered from your graveyard or was cast from your graveyard. Exile it. If you do, create a 5/5 black demon creature token with flying. How's this combo going to work?
Well, as you can just see it right on board here, you just play this. This thing's an easy chump blocker at some point in time. You can sacrifice it with Oven. It doesn't always have to be Cat. You just sacrifice it for value. You sacrifice it. You can sacrifice this. This is actually probably, I wish we had it on screen now. If we literally had the Priest on screen, not Containment Priest, the Sacrifice Priest.
Oh, you mean the Black Sacrifice Priest? Priest of Forgotten Gods?
Yes, thank you. This is a perfect target for Priest of Forgotten Gods. because these two are just, you know, whatever, 1/1 chump blockers. Sacrifice these. You get one or two of these out in your opening hand. Freeze your Forgotten Gods, make your opponent lose a creature. You get 2 mana. Then you get to just play Lurrus, and say, let's say this is turn 3, you have Priest of Forgotten God, one of these and another creature out, and then you just sacrifice this and that. You get your 2 black mana, your opponent lost a creature, you gain 2 life, they lost 2 life. You just slam Lurrus, cast this off of the extra floating black mana you have, and boom, now you have a 5/5 flying black demon creature token. It is insane. That whole turn sequence is like, wait, I lost a creature, lost 2 life, and you have a real board state with a Lurrus and a 5/5 demon that I have to deal with. So now you have to sit here and think about Lurrus, but then also you're on a real clock with that demon.
Well, let's just say this. Use this Receptaculo del Archidemoniano. I'm sorry, I just like saying that. But anyway, you use the Archdemon's Vessels to chump block in the early game, like most people will. But let's say you're turn 6. You got 6 mana on board. And you played the Lurrus. Then you cast this from the graveyard. Right. Well, and you also have your Dudo. What you call her? Priest of Forgotten God. Got this lady, right? So you activate and you sack whatever, cat and whatever, and you already have the Bone Scythe, loop that was going. So Bone Scythe is pumped up pretty well. Your opponent's like, oh, I got them. I'll gain life with my Baneslayer Angel. Well, Priest comes down, taps, sacks those 2 things. Bone Scythe goes off to the side. You have to sack your Baneslayer. And then you're like, oh, with Lurrus, I'm going to cast this guy. Make a 5/5, use 1 mana, attach the Bone Scythe. Now, all of a sudden, this sucker is a, 12/12 flying demon. It's like, there's so many broken things that can happen with the graveyard. Plus, you also got, the 3 mana return target creature from your graveyard. Because you don't have to cast him. He just has to come from the graveyard to the battlefield. So, turn 1 this, turn 2 whatever, turn 3 that 3 mana return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. I forgot what it's called.
Oh, so the one from Ikoria that costs 3 mana. You can return any number. By the way, you can return any number of creatures from your graveyard to the battlefield with the converted total mana cost. This is free.
Right. So you have 3 of these in the graveyard. You return them all and say, screw that, I'm going to exile them all. I got 15 power on the board.
Oh my god, I didn't consider that. That is degenerate.
And that's a turn 3, 15 power.
When Demon gets menace, by the way.
Do what?
Oh, by the way, that card also gives one of them Death Touch and one of them menace.
Right.
Or one of them Death Touch and menace.
Right. So you have a vanilla 5/5, you have a menace 5/5, and you have a death touch 5/5. That's pretty gross.
Yeah, it's Call of the Death Dweller. Return up.
That's it.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can't do 3. You can only do 2 creatures. Return up to 2 creature cards with total converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a death touch counter on either of them. Put a menace counter on either of them.
Right. So you can bring 2. So, and technically, turn 3 you can have 10 power on the battlefield, just if you only had these guys.
Turn 1 Stitcher Supplier. Turn 2 whatever. Turn 3 this. Get 10 power flying death touch menace in the air.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
In Magical Christmas Land.
How many times have we seen, marveled at the fact that, they always seem to have turn 1 cat into turn 2 oven. It's it's like, okay. They could literally go turn 1 Stitcher Supplier, mill over 1. Turn 2 Stitcher Supplier, mill over another one. Because that's 6 cards they milled. And then block with Stitcher Suppliers, mill over the other 2, turn 3, Call of the Death Dweller, turn 4, Call of the Death Dweller. That's not Magical Christmas Land. They milled 12 cards. What's the odds of not hitting at least one? So that's you know, that's just some of the synergies that are in here that we wanted to cover tonight. And
Welcome to Magic after rotation and Zendikar.
yeah, exactly. Um, and God knows what's going to happen in Zendikar. But the last thing I wanted to talk about was power creep, and this is something I discussed with you the other day in our prep session for this for tonight, and this is my problem with what's happening because we've seen it in Ikoria and we really saw it in Throne of Eldraine with the fact that it feels like half the set's been banned from, especially if it's a green card. God help you if it's a green card. But apparently they said green suck for so long that they're just going to push it so far that nobody can play it because we got to ban everything in green. But with that being said, though, uh, the power creep is starting to get out of control. And I honestly believe it happened and began and started when they went away from block sets. Before, in a block set, you could spread the power over the course of all 3 blocks in the set. Whereas now it's like they're focusing on a single set. That set has to sell and make money, and the only way that it can feasibly, they can justify it to the shareholders and to Hasbro, the evil overlords, is we have to make this set attractive enough, and we see that with some of the reprints with your Ugin the Spirit Dragon. $75 card, yeah, it's pre-ordering now for $30 or $25, whatever it is. When you got things like Realm Tutor, $200 card, yeah, it's pre-ordering for what, $55, $60, whatever. What are some of the other? Azusa Lost But Seeking, $45 card, pre-ordering for like $15. This is them printing money into the set. And the problem with that is we need the reprints, and I'm really happy on so far on all the reprints that they picked. Even from Cultivate to Ugin the Spirit Dragon. I'm happy with all of them. I love them. I think it's what's needed. It's what a core set is supposed to be designed to do. But where I have a problem is the overall power creep that is seeping into the game, and we've seen it ruin TCGs before. TCGs like Dragon Ball Z, TCGs like Dragon Ball Super. These are card games that, in their first couple of 2-3 sets were really great and really fun to play, but now it's like a new set comes out in 2 months and I have to have every card in that set if I want to be competitive. There's no way, ifs, ands, or buts around it. I got a buddy of mine that plays it professionally, and he's like, good night, man, keeping up with it, it's insane. And then, when you get to that point, there has to be a leveling off place somewhere, some way. And Wizards is like, more power, more power. We gotta, to be able to say, there's a reason Throne of Eldraine didn't sell as well. And you want to know why that is? Or not Throne of Eldraine, but Theros. It's because Throne of Eldraine was so powerful, and Theros didn't live up to that power level. So therefore, everybody's like, why do I want that? I'll just buy 1 or 2 singles out of it. Whereas Ikoria said, okay, well, Throne of Eldraine didn't sell, or not Throne, but Theros didn't sell. So let's zip the power level up and give you companions and an 8th card in your sideboard that nobody can touch, and you can cast whenever the hell you feel like it. And I mean, it really worries me what's next. I mean, we see the power level in Core 2021. I hate to think about what's going to be in Zendikar. So what do you think about the power level? Do you think it's too much? Do you think they're doing it just right? Do you want to... Now, don't think of it as a modern player, because as a modern player, we're like, hell yeah, man, pump as much power into standard as you want, because we don't care. All we want is powerful stuff in modern. But think about it.
I mean, that is my bias, because I'm not much of a standard player, other than the fact that I do play Arena, but I'm playing Arena to play Historic and eventually play Pioneer, that they've promised that all of Pioneer, in air quotes, all of Pioneer in air quotes, will be in Arena by the end of 2021. because I play more Eternal formats than anything. I mean, particularly I'm a modern grinder. I love modern. I feel like it is the best format. I can tinker around in Legacy every once in a blue moon, but it's the fact that I love modern. I love the fact Pioneer came out. But yeah, I mean, the thing is that when it comes to standard, it's just sorry about that. Sorry, I got a frog in my throat. Hold on.
Yeah, so while Gig is trying not to choke to death, I hope you're all right. I understand what you're saying, but what I want is a perspective from the health of the overall game, because if standard dies, the rest of the game dies with it. Because if they don't make money off of standard where they make all their money, then there won't be anything else for modern. Now, am I saying modern's going to die? No, but modern's not going to shake up either. So, tell me from an overall health of the game, whenever you can.
Alright, sorry about that. Alright, so back to my point. What I was trying to say before I instantly just choked on a frog there for some reason. It's that standard, when you pump too much power into standard, there's not enough answers for the cards.
And it becomes stale.
And I understand that, because Wizards, essentially what Wizards used to do, and if people haven't been in the game long enough, Wizards used to go in, when they were doing block constructed sets, they would literally go, here's one set, very powerful, and then immediately in the next set within the same block, it may have an answer, or within the block, there is an answer within the 1, 2, or 3 sets that usually block. So blocks were usually 2 or 3 sets, traditionally 3 sets for the very early history of Magic. That eventually, like, let's go all the way back to the Mirrodin block. Like, in actual Mirrodin, there was almost no artifact removal.
Right.
Almost none whatsoever. Then you went to Darksteel, and then, like, yeah, there were some okay artifact removal cards in the set itself, but then when you get to Darksteel, oh my goodness, that's when you saw all sorts of artifact hate cards, finally. Because we had to do Infinity and all that other stuff. By the way, Mirrodin, the first set to put out a ban list with the combination of Mirrodin and Darksteel, was the first time in Standard history that they had to issue a ban to cards.
Exactly. You know, and it's like you said, in Mirrodin, you had the artifacts where they introduced the theme of the set. And then in Scars of Mirrodin, they printed answers to the cards in Mirrodin. Or was it Darksteel? Darksteel. And then in Scars of Mirrodin, they wrapped up the whole set and kind of completed the affinity cycle.
Fifth Dawn.
Do what?
Fifth Dawn. It went Mirrodin, Darksteel, Fifth Dawn.
Yeah, whatever. I get everything mixed up. What? There's a Scars to Mirrodin, right? Yeah, that was the new Phyrexia block.
That's what's happening. You're getting the next time we went to Mirrodin, it was Scars of Mirrodin.
New Phyrexia, the new Phyrexia block. Yeah.
Yeah, and
so in Fifth Dawn, they wrapped up the affinity cycle that was that Mirrodin introduced 2 sets prior. So. But yeah, so that's my only worry, is if Standard ends up becoming so stale that everybody's like, you know what, I'm not buying this garbage fire because it's overpowered, nobody can play it, it's like, I can't keep up with it financially, hence barrier to entry, and people stop playing, and that's how you kill a game. So my remedy to that is, go back to block sets, Wizards. We enjoy planes. We enjoy exploring everything on the plane. We enjoy the gradual increase to power within the set itself, because you know that set's going to rotate out at the next upcoming core set. So it's like, it's not going to be in Standard like Thronail Drain. It's going to be in Standard like almost 2 years. We got to deal with Cat Oven for 2 years. Give me a frickin' break, bro. It's like, come on. Stop. You know, don't kill the game we love. Don't do it, you know. But that's something I really wanted to talk about, because I saw this power level in Core 2021. And I'm like, oh dear God, they are doing it. And I'm happy they are, because I'm a modern player, you know. But there comes a time that that they have to say, we made a mistake on the single blocks. You know, think about it. How companions could have been rolled out over the course of 2 sets of Ikoria and an actual story behind Ikoria. For all I know, Ikoria is the land of Pokemon, because I don't even know what the story of the daggum plane is, you know. So it's like, that's my personal opinion, and that's what we're here for this podcast is to provide you our personal opinions, and you know, as longtime players of the game and longtime lovers of the game. So that's my closing arguments. Giga, do you got anything else for everybody watching out at home?
No, I mean, I want to echo your point here, is that I really feel like we need to spend more time on individual planes than just single. I don't like the one-shot plane ideas, because with Ikoria, you told me it was the land of behemoth and monsters, but yet Wizards' design team has even admitted that a lot of the humans that they had in Ikoria, which you understand, you have to have big monsters and humans have to fight monsters, and that whole synergy type deal that you always have to deal with, is the fact that why did we not have Ikoria Lair Behemoths focus on big monsters with some humans, and then humans trying to retaliate resistance or whatever into, you know, trying to fight against the monsters. They jammed all that into one set, and I feel like they could have spread this out a little bit better, had some cooler cycles and sets and whatnot, and not to mention too that I really didn't feel like I got the big monsters theme from Ikoria that I was really wanting. But you know, they gave me Sharknado, so that's pretty cool.
Right. Yeah, my thing about Ikoria is I see it as a, if you remember the Khans of Tarkir, it started out with the humans, then it went to Fate Reforged, and then it went to Dragons of Tarkir. So there was a natural progression through that block. You know, you had the humans that ruled everything, and then Fate was reforged, where the humans are subjugated by the Elder Dragons, and now the dragons rule everything, and there was a nice synergy and flow all the way through. You know, I feel that these single sets, I literally feel like I'm just getting a new core set every 3.5 months. That's what's happening. That's how I feel about it, because there's no real story, there's no real, you know, flow of the set going. You know, we're going from Ikoria to Core 2021 to Zendikar. It's like, where is the flow of the story? And that's the other thing. One of the things that was always great about Magic, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, I promise guys, we're going to wrap this up, but one of the great things about Magic was the fact that you could get into the lore, and then you could play the cards that were in the lore, and you felt like you were a part of the story, that the spells you were casting, you know, mattered in the story itself. You know, whenever you ran into this receptacle of the archdemon and you killed him, and then somebody, you know, Liliana would resurrect him, and instead she resurrected a demon out of him. I mean, there's so much flavor that could go into cards like this that is just being missed, and it's just becoming, okay, yeah, I play Luris, I play Cat, I play Oven, I bring back Cat, I sack food, get new Cat. I mean, it's like, come on, you know, give me some story. You know, give me something that's tangible that I can tie these cards to. And maybe that's just old fogey in me, I don't know. But that's my personal opinion, and we are out of time. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Click that subscribe button. Click that like button. Get notified every time that we upload a YouTube. We upload to YouTube. We upload a podcast. We got some gameplay. I got some gameplay videos that I'm working on and editing. I really don't do much editing. I just kind of cut out the chunk in it, but or the dead time in between matches. But outside of that, I'm Antonio. He's Gigapon. Say goodbye, Giga.
See you later, guys.
Yep. As always, peace, love, and chicken grease, because we're out of here.